I urge you, at this moment of national emergency, to stay at home, protect our NHS, and save lives.
Lockdowns have taken a toll on the hospitality sector around the world. In Britain, it was the third biggest driver of the economy before the pandemic.
But for the hospitality sector, which has spent, well, most of the year either closed or restricted by social distancing measures, it's not as simple as rehiring furloughed staff.
Hospitality is back, but many pubs and restaurants just can't get the staff. A year of lockdown restrictions forced many to reconsider their career choice, and post-Brexit immigration rules mean seasonal workers from Europe aren't available to fill the positions either.
Doors are open, customers are on site, but don't be fooled, the hospitality industry is still struggling.
Restaurants and cafes are still struggling to find the staff.
Are we really in the middle of a hospitality crisis? Let's find out after this. So firstly, I'd like to welcome you all back to the Prep Kitchen podcast, and this is the first of our YouTube exclusive videos. Obviously we've been back to work now since April, and it's been a long old slog to get remotely any time to film or record the podcast, so we apologise. The wheels, however, are turning again, and the Prep Kitchen podcast will be back maybe at Christmas, maybe a little bit earlier. We're not entirely sure yet, but we will get something out there, and these new YouTube exclusive videos are going to be a new thing that we're going to try. So, the hospitality crisis. We keep hearing about it, and I just wanted to sit down in front of a camera and discuss whether actually there is a crisis in hospitality, or whether this is an issue that we've had for a long time, that has been exacerbated by the virus and by Brexit, but an issue that has always been there. So a recent BBC article said that there are 102,000 vacancies in the sector from April to June 2021. That's a rise of 12.1% compared with the 91,000 figure from the same period in 2019. Yet since 2017, vacancies in the industry have been consistently at a staggering 90,000 or more. We know that this industry has royally been fucked by this virus, and it's made everybody's jobs harder. And I also know that, you know, during the first lockdown or the second lockdown, a lot of chefs have decided that this isn't for them anymore, and that they want to go and work in, you know, delivery driving or something where they can see their family every day. And I understand, I really do. I think it's been fucking awful. I think I said in the podcast that quite selfishly, and I want to be as transparent as possible here, quite selfishly, I wanted this virus to weed out some of the shit and to really have a base foundation for this industry to work with when we come back. Now, I'm not saying in every case, but in most cases I think the opposite has happened. And we've been left with a lot of really bad chefs. So where does that leave us? Well, it kind of leaves us in a bit of a limbo situation where we haven't got any staff, and restaurants and pubs are busier than ever, and there's got to be a reason why we can't hire staff. Is it money? Is it, you know, working conditions? Is it, you know, those sort of wheelhouse issues that have always been a problem in our industry? And this isn't a new thing. This is a thing that's been going on for years. It's certainly been going on for the 15 years that I've worked in the industry. And how do we, I suppose the big question is, how do we look at it and change it? Now, as I'm filming this, it is the 27th of October, and Rishi's new budget's come out today, and beer's going up, and, you know, tobacco's going up, and everything else is going up. The living wage went up yesterday, I think. So how do we change as an industry? And this is, you know, this is a really interesting point that needs to be addressed. There's been a lot of talk from a group called Hospitality, Bullshit in Hospitality, and they are really calling out chefs now, more of the top end of the industry, but they're really calling out some chefs that are bullies. And as a base foundation, this needs to change. We're not Gordon Ramsay, you know, or Marco, who quite famously have a temper, and of course we all have a temper. But what we are is human beings, and, you know, our staff aren't, they're not going to stand for it for much longer. I was talking to a good friend of mine who said this next generation of chefs just aren't going to stand for it, and they're not going to work for us. So there's that point, and, you know, well done, Bullshit in Hospitality, for doing what you're doing. You know, I'd love to get you on one day to discuss why you're doing it. Well, we know why you're doing it, but I'd love to get you on to discuss your movement. Wages. Point 2. Wages have, for some reason, in the hospitality industry, just not moved for the longest time. Now, for the purposes of this video, and if my current employer is watching, I'm not leaving. Applied for 6 jobs on Indeed, just to see really what was going on, and I really wanted to get to the crux of the issue here. And of those 6 jobs, the lowest pay was £26,000 a year for a head chef, and the top end was £40,000 to £45,000 a year in a chain. Now, I understand that independent businesses can't always pay the top end of the pay scale, and again, you know, the Facebook chef groups are calling out in arms. You know, the second anyone posts a job, the money's not good enough there, you know. And to some degree I agree, but you know, think about where you're working. So out of these 6 jobs that I applied for, I heard back from none of them. This was about a week and a half ago. I had a kernel of an idea for a video, and I thought, you know, let's just apply for 6 jobs and see what's happening. And I've heard nothing. And that confused me even more, because if we are in the middle of a hospitality crisis, how are we going to solve that when we're not replying to job applications? So that confused me. The third thing, hours. Now I know we definitely have discussed this before. Sat Baines has gone down for 4 days a week. Look, since we reopened, and I'm not going to call anybody out here. Since we reopened, I've been doing 6 days a week. I think last week was only the second time I've had 2 days off since we reopened in March. And I'm fucked. Mentally and physically fucked. But how do we... How do we move on from that? And we've got no staff. Do you know what I mean? Everything seems to be piling on top of itself here. And, you know, I'm not paid amazingly well by any stretch of the imagination. So something's going to give in the industry, and I'm really struggling to find out what it is. So a Guardian article I was reading the other day said 1 in 6 positions are being filled. So I don't know where we go from here, and I'm confused, and I really want to have a discussion, you know, down in the comments box, or if you follow me on Instagram, the Prep Kitchen Podcast, or you follow my personal account at chef_Brinicum. Send me a message. I really want to know what's going on, and why, you know, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, 7 months down the line, we're still having this discussion that the hospitality industry is fucked. We discussed just before we come off for our 2-month break that turned out to be a 7-month break, the potential of a Minister for Hospitality, and it got through and the signatures were there. I've heard nothing. Do we need, you know, 2 or 3 of the big name chefs to come out and talk about it? I think it would help. I think it would start a conversation. You know, when we talked to Asma Khan, I know that I saw an interview with her where she said something's going to have to change. Now, we've just had this fuel crisis. If you're not in the UK, I don't know whether this affected you overseas. I'd imagine it did. But I imagine it didn't, because this was a Brexit issue, apparently. I don't know. I don't drive, so I don't take much notice. We run out of HGV drivers, and they couldn't deliver petrol. So they brought the army in, and they were looking at relaxing Brexit visas for fuck's sake, HGV drivers. Do we need to do the same thing for chefs? This isn't just a chef issue, of course. This is front of house, back of house. Do we need to do that? I don't know. I don't have an answer to this issue. I just wanted to make a video to discuss the issues that we are having and start a conversation. And you know, this probably won't be the best put together video that we're ever going to do, but I hope that it's impactful, because something needs to change. And if I'm being honest, I am getting to my wit's end with it. Also, just to tag on to this, we've been looking for a sous chef for months, and people have applied for the job, and then they've either been invited in for an interview or emailed back and not fucking turned up. You're not helping this situation in any way, shape or form. Fucking ring up and say, it's honestly not for me, or come for the interview, and you might like it, who knows. But I know that's a universal issue, so if you're doing that, stop being a cock and turn up. So that's it really. I really want to hear your thoughts on this. How has this affected your business? How are you overcoming it? What are you doing? How are you doing it? What's going on? I really want to know. Comment down below, message us at Prep Kitchen Podcast, and we will get back to you. Finally, again, I just want to apologise for our lack of social media, lack of videos, lack of everything. We've just been too busy, and I saw Matt last week before, and the ball is rolling for all things Prep Kitchen. We'd love to hit 100 subscribers by Christmas. We're on 30 now at the time of recording. So if you could share this video and tell your friends and put it on in the kitchen, and all subscribe. Jason Mead, I'm looking at you. Thank you for that, by the way. That would be fantastic. Sorry, there's someone pulling up in a car park outside. Yeah, and thank you to everybody that supported us throughout this. Honestly, this got me through the last lockdown, doing this podcast. And to get to meet amazing people, Artistan Pizza and Katie at Night Bites, and of course Asma Khan. We can't forget Asma, because she was fucking amazing, and we love her, and we love you all. So thank you. I'm currently in talks with a brewery to see if we can do a tour and a chat and talk about local beer and the issues that they have faced during the coronavirus pandemic. And that's it, guys. I look forward to hearing from you all, and we will be back soon, and we love you, and thank you. Goodbye.